اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما. اللهم انشر علينا رحمتك وانزل علينا حكمتك يا ذا الجلال والإكرام. وصل اللهم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. There was a question here about, I think from the previous class, just about women having male slaves. Women, a bondsman, which is an abd, is permissible for a woman to own, but they're still غير محرم, so they can't be alone with them. Same type rules, and there's certainly can be no sexual relationship between the two. That was the question. In this last section, before did I do the mafatih, the keys, last week? Let me do that, because miftah is a key in Arabic, and if you look at the word, this root word is what? Fataha. And the wazn that it's on is mif'al. And this is a wazn that's used for tools. Right? Like miknas would be, miknasa, like something that you use. Midras would be, we need to change that? So the miftah is the tool that you use to open something up. And obviously it's a key in Arabic. But the point is that a key, which unlocks a door, in Arabic, the word for key means that thing that opens, that causes an opening, right? Which is different from unlocking, if you think about that. Okay? In other words, the metaphor is much stronger in Arabic than it is in English. You can say he had the key which unlocked the secrets. But the idea of fath, right, is related directly to one of the names of Allah, which is al-Fattah, the one who opens. So, in other words, people that have spiritual keys, and Allah says He has the mafatih al-ghayb, the keys to the unseen. A person who has these keys, there are things that they can open up. And there are many hadith that indicate this is a key to this, like al-sabr miftah al-faraj. Sabr is the key to getting the faraj, or the opening. So that's a hadith. In other words, if you want faraj from Allah, then the key is sabr. In other words, if you don't have the miftah, you can't open it. So, like right now, the ummah there's no faraj. But if you look at the ummah, there's no sabr. If there was sabr, then you could have the faraj. And part of sabr, patience, is that you don't complain. So you have to stop complaining and literally be patient. Because man batha lam yasbir, if you're complaining, you haven't been patient. Unless the complaint is what they call ard hal, which is just, you're not complaining, you're just letting somebody know what the conditions are. That's different. But if it's like, woe is me, why is this happening to me, and this is horrible. And now, Imam al-Mannawi says that this is one of the most important babs of knowledge. It's called Bab al-Mafatih. So I'm going to give you the Mafatih that he laid out. Miftah al-Salah, the key to prayer, is tahur. The key to prayer is wudu. So, Sidi Ahmed Zarruq says, if you have presence in your wudu, you'll have presence in your prayer. If you're heedless about your wudu, you'll be heedless about your prayer. And one of the things about modern Muslims is that they don't do wudu as an ibadah anymore. They do it hurriedly in a bathroom, and they just want to get it over with so they can go pray. And the point is, wudu is a spiritual preparation for prayer. So it's a miftah for prayer. Miftah al-Hajj, al-Ihram. The key to Hajj is entering into the state of Ihram. So if you do the Ihram properly, then you've opened the door to the Hajj. Miftah al-Birr, al-Sadaqah. The key to righteousness is charity. لن تنالوا البر حتى تنفقوا مما تحبون. You won't get righteousness until you give out in charity. So مفتاح البر الصدقة. مفتاح الجنة التوحيد. The key to paradise is tawheed. Now obviously every key has asnan. Right? In the old keys, right? So the key itself, like the key to Hajj is ihram, but then there's teeth to it. So there's obviously other things, but that is the key that opens it up. So مفتاح الجنة التوحيد. مفتاح العلم حسن السؤال والإصغاء. The key to knowledge is asking intelligent questions and learning how to listen attentively. That's مفتاح العلم. مفتاح الظفر الصبر. The key to victory is patience. Or the key to gaining what you want is patience. ألاف الصبر ألاف الصبر ألاف الصبر ألاف الصبر تبلغ ما تريد وبالتقى يلين لك الحديد. With patience you will gain whatever you desire, and with taqwa you can bend iron. مفتاح المزيد الشكر. The key to increase in this world, تأذن ربك لئن شكرتم لأزيدنكم. Your Lord, Allah has declared, if you show gratitude to Allah, Allah increases in you. So miftah al-mazid in khayr, of good, is shukr, gratitude. If you want increase in good of this world and the next, then the key is shukr. Miftah al-wilaya, the key to wilaya, becoming a wali of Allah, al-mahabba wal-dhikr, is love and remembrance of Allah. That's how you will enter into a state of wilaya. Love of Allah's messenger and Allah, and dhikr of Allah, love of dhikr of Allah, and dhikr of His messenger as well. Miftah al-falah at-taqwa. The key to success is taqwa. Ulaika, right? قَدْ أَفْلَحَ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ. The people of taqwa are the people of falah. أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُفْلِحُونَ. So taqwa, falah, success in this world and the next is taqwa. مفتاح التوفيق الرغبة ورهبة. The key to tawfiq from Allah, which is where your will is in accordance with Allah's will, is rahba and raghba. Is understanding, desire, what you should naturally desire and incline to, and what you should naturally have an aversion to. So the fitrah gets tawfiq when it inclines towards what Allah has commanded it to do, and raghabahu fi, like prayer. Allah encourages us to pray, so that's a raghba. And if you pray on time, you're muwaffaq in that thing, in prayer. Allah calls us to fear certain things. So if you fear them, you're muwaffaq in fearing the right things. So raghba and rahba. Desiring the right things and fearing the right things leads to tawfiq from Allah. You're considered muwaffaq. And then miftah al-ijaba ad-du'a. The key to getting response from Allah is calling on Allah. That's the miftah. If you call on Allah, Allah says He'll answer you. مفتاح الدخول على Allah, the key to entering into the presence of Allah in a non, no anthropomorphism there, is استسلام القلب والإخلاص له في الحب والبغض. It is the key to being aware of the divine presence is the heart entering into submission to Allah, and then love, and then sincerity in what you love and you hate. In other words, you love things for the sake of Allah and you hate things for the sake of Allah. That's the key to being present with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then Miftah Hayat al-Qulub, this is a really important one. The key to life of the hearts, bringing the heart to life, Tadabbur al-Quran, reflecting on the meanings of the Quran. Tadabbur al-Quran. وَتَضَرَّعْ عِنْدَ الْأَسْحَارِ, calling on Allah sincerely before dawn. وَتَرْكَ الذُّنُوبِ, and stopping wrong actions. And if you do any one of those three, you'll see a difference. And if you do all three, خلاص. The second one. التضرع إلى الله عند الأسحار. Like تضرع عند الأسحار means يتضرع إلى الله. To really call on Allah out of desire, of need, intense need of Allah. تضرع. You want me to write it? So, Miftah Hayat al-Qulub, Tadabbur al-Quran, reflecting on the meanings of Quran. Tadarra' عند الأسحار. Tadarra' means to really to fervently seek help, or like one of the reasons Allah says in the Quran that He gives people tribulation is لَعَلَّهُمْ يَتَضَرَّعُونَ, in order for them to يَتَضَرَّعُونَ, really to plead with Allah, to really change me, help me, save me. And so doing that at dawn, before dawn, pre-dawn time. Is Sheikh here? Okay. And then tark al-dhunub is leaving wrong actions. Wrong actions. And then he said, مفتاح حصول الرحمة الإحسان في عبادة الحق والسعي في نفع الخلق. The key to gaining mercy from Allah is doing ibadah properly and helping creation. That's where you get the rahmah, because Allah said, رحمتي وسعت كل شيء وسأكتبها للذين يتقون, that His mercy encompasses everything, but He'll write it for people who have taqwa. And taqwa is ihsan in ibadah. When you have taqwa, you have ihsan in your ibadah. And then also, الراحمون يرحمهم الرحمن يرحم من في الأرض يرحمكم من في السماء. Have الراحمون, those who show mercy, Allah, the Rahman shows mercy to them, and then show mercy on those in the earth, and Allah will show mercy on you. So that's the key to rahmah, is to have ihsan in your ibadah, and then to benefit the creation of Allah, to show mercy and have rahmah. مفتاح حصول الرحمة الإحسان في عبادة الحق والسعي في نفع الخلق. And then مفتاح الرزق السعي مع الاستغفار. The key to provision is to go out and get it, but do it with istighfar. So that's the key to provision. To go out and search for it, look for it, but do it with istighfar. Because the nature of going into the world is you're going to get dhunub. And so if you make istighfar, it'll counterbalance the dhunub that you acquire in the world. Miftahul izz at-ta'a. The key to dignity in this life is obedience to Allah. That's the key. And Sayyidina Umar said, نحن قوم أعزنا الله بالإسلام فإذا طلبنا العز بغيره أذلنا الله. We're a people that Allah gave us izz with Islam, and if we seek dignity from anywhere. عليكم السلام ورحمة الله. أنا أثنتي واضح؟ الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. There's only 3 more, so I'll finish them, and then I'm going to let Sheikh Khatri do the rest of the section here. And then he said, مفتاح الاستعداد للآخرة قصر الأمل. The key to getting ready for Akhirah is having short hopes. In other words, don't think you're going to live long. If you want to prepare for Akhirah, don't think I've got lots of time. Believe that you're going to die any minute, and that's the key to preparing for it. And then مفتاح كل خير الرغبة في الآخرة. The key to every good is desire of the next world. Just like the key to every evil is desire of this world. رأس الخطايا حب العاجلة. And then مفتاح كل شر حب الدنيا. So that's it. Those are the mafatih. And I'll tell you, there's a lot of knowledge in those mafatih. There's a lot of knowledge there. So inshallah we'll let the key to every evil is love of dunya. Now where did we get to last week? What's that? The sources, yeah, khalas. وأصل الأصلين خلال أهل كل فدين المرء دين الخل.
قال أن أصل داء المرء هو رضاه عن نفسه، فإذا رضي المرء عن نفسه معنى ذلك أن هذا هو الداء. الداء معناه شنو؟ معنى الداء هو المرض الذي لا خير معه. الداء هو المرض، ومرض المرء المؤمن رضاه عن نفسه. فإذا رضي عن نفسه فمعنى ذلك أن قلبه مريض.
So he said the source, before, the section we did before, he talks about the roots. And he said that the root of the diseases of the heart is a human being self-satisfied. And he said, so if you have a human being that's satisfied with himself, then he has a diseased heart. He's مريض.
ومرض القلب مرض لا تكتسب معه الحسنة. لا يكتسب المرء حسنة ما دام راضيا عن نفسه.
So he said that a human being, he's not going to be able to acquire any good as long as he's content with his self.
وأصل الخير اكتساب كل حسنة، وأول الحسنات معرفته لنفسه. فإذا عرف نفسه فليرضى عنها، لأن النفس الرضا عنها هو الداء، هو المرض. فإذا يرضى عن نفسه فسيتحرى المستحسن من الأمور واكتساب الحسنات، وهذان ضدان لا يجتمعان.
So he said, so if a human being, he knows he said the origin really of the good is knowing yourself. Because if you know yourself, you can't be content with it. And if you're not content with it, it's going to encourage you to do things that are going to improve your soul, which is good actions and acquiring good character. So by knowing your soul, you'll actually set out to do something about it.
وعلامة رضا النفس أن يكون المرء يرى حسنات نفسه أكثر من سيئاته ويرى أنه راض عنها بكل ما تعمله وهذا هو العلم وهو المرض الذي لا حسنة معه لأنه يترك جميع معصيته فيرى أن المعصية حسنة ويرى أن الزلل حسن وهذا هو معنى البعض عن الفي وأنه دام مرض فإذا رأى الحسنة لا يستحسنها لأنه يستحسن المعصية لأن الهوى النفسي دائما هي المعاصي وارتباط بالهوى وهذا هو رأس الداء.
So he said, if you're self-satisfied, then what happens is you'll actually deem wrong actions to be good things. Because the nafs by its nature will make wrong look good, appear to the self. And that's often in the Quran, right? Tazyin, of shaitan, of nafs, of hawa. And he said, so the hawa, the nature of your hawa, which is your caprice, is that it inclines towards ma'asiyah. And if you're unaware of your own soul's natural inclination, the soul's inclination, not the ruh, but the soul is inclining towards wrong action. If you don't know that, then the soul will convince you, if you're satisfied with it, that what it's inclining to is good for it. Right? Like in this culture, it's the best example of that.
فلن ترضى عنها وتبحث عن المستحسن ما هو المستحسن كل ما يرضي الله تعالى هو المستحسن كل ما يرضي الله هو المستحسن ولا لعقل وحده توصلوا إلى قليل أو إلى ما يجمله بل ما في فعله أمورنا بحثا وضده مقابل قرح بغضه.
So he said that the soul, when it's not satisfied with itself, then will seek what is good. And what is good is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told it to do. And in the Ibat al-Jannah, which is a poem on the Aqidah, he said that what is good is not what the aql thinks is good, but what Allah says is good. Just like what is ugly is not what the aql or the nafs or anything says is good or ugly, it's what Allah says is ugly. So the Sharia tells us what's hasan and what's qabih.
العقل لا يمثل لا حسن ولا قبيح لا يمثل وحده إنما يمثل الحسن هو الشر الذي أمرنا به الشر حسن والذي نهانا عنه قبيح هذا هو الحسن الأصل بين الحسن والقبيح.
So what he's saying is that the Sharia is what tells us what is good. And Sharia tells us what is bad or ugly. And the intellect has no access to that. It can sometimes get it right, but not always. And so it's not an absolute source of guidance, right? I mean, the intellect is a relative or limited source of guidance. So Sharia indicates what's hasana and what's sayyah. And then the human being who recognizes now that his nafs is not going to save him or help him, then he looks to what will help him by recognizing it's what Allah told him to do, and so that will lead him to doing the actions that are in accordance with Allah and His Messenger.
لذا كانت المرء على دين خليله ضمر من تخالف فإذا كان خليلك صاحب طاعة ويأمر بالمعروف وينهى عن المنكر فأنت على دين خليلك وإذا صاحبت من كان يعمل المعصية أو كان سيء الأخلاق أو يؤخر الصلاة عن وقتها أو لا يزكي ماله أو لا يرحم الضعفاء فهذا فأنت على دينه لا طاعته لأن المرأة على دين خليله فإذا أرضت نفسك بأهل الطاعة كنت من أهل الطاعة فإذا أرضت نفسك بأهل الفساد كنت من أهل الفساد فعليك أن تجاهد نفسك حتى تربطها بما يرضي الله تعالى وهو النهي عن الكف عن النهي وكتاب الطاعة.
So he said that what he's saying in the poem here is that the origin of those two, right, the disease of the heart and the good things that are going to happen, is the company that one keeps. Because the hadith says that a man is on the deen of his companion. So the Sheikh said that if you keep company with a person who delays his prayer, if you keep company with a person that doesn't pay his zakat, if you keep company with a person that does wrong actions, then you will be doing those things that he's doing. And in the same way, if you keep company of a good person, then it's going to affect you also. So the person is on the deen of those he keeps company with, and that's why people have to look at who they're keeping company with, because the company is indicative of the state of a man.
مثلا زوجها جلست على باب دكان العطار لابد ان تشم رائحه طيبه. زوجها جلست على باب الخمار فانك لا تخلو من رائحه المدينه.
So he said, for example, if you sit at the door of a bar, then you're going to be smelling the foulness of the alcohol in the bar. And if you sit at the door of a perfumer, then you're going to be smelling the good sense of the perfume. So whatever you're in proximity to, you'll be affected by it. That's the point. So if you're in the proximity of a good person, you're going to be affected by his goodness. If you're in the proximity of a bad person, you're going to be affected by his foulness.
نبحث عن كيف نسيطر على عيوب النفس، نعرف عيوب انفسنا ونتجنبها. لقمان حكيم قال لابنه عليك من مجالسة العلماء، لأن مجالسة العلماء هو المطر الذي يحدث بعد موتها. شبه العلماء بالمطر، لأن العالم إذا جالسته دائما فإنك تنبت بطرح والكتاب، قد يطلع من حيث لا تحتسب، من حيث لا تشعر. إذا جالست العلماء فإن قلبك يصلح من حيث لا تشعر بدوام مجالسة العلماء. ولقمان قال لابنه عليك بمجالسة العلماء فإنها وجل معها مطر يحيي القلوب كما يحيي المطر إذا بعد موتها.
So he said that for this reason Luqman al-Hakim radiyallahu anhu mentioned in the Quran that he, in the Muwatta of Imam Malik, he mentioned that Luqman al-Hakim said to his son, sit with the ulama, keep the company of the ulama, and the ulama are people who know things and act according to their knowledge. And he said, sit with those people because they're like rain that comes to earth and brings it back to life. They are like that rain to the earth. The sitting with them is like the rain to the earth of your heart. In other words, it will bring your heart back to life. And it'll bring it in a way, he said, that you're not even aware of. In other words, just by sitting in the company of righteous people, in the company of knowledge, the heart begins to become alive. And Iman begins to grow in it until it increases and gets more and more.
قال بعض الحكماء الفصائل قال بعض الحكماء مجالسة العارف تدعوك من 6 إلى 60.
So he said the sitting with the alim of the arifin, the people who have knowledge, will take you from 6 things to 6 things. In other words, you'll go from 6 bad things to 6 good things.
تدعوك من 6 إلى 60. مجالسة العارف تدعوك من 6 إلى 60.
أيوة.
من الشك إلى اليقين.
So من الشك إلى اليقين. You'll go from doubt to certainty.
من
الرياء إلى الإخلاص. You'll go from riya, doing things for other than Allah, to doing things with sincerity, with ikhlas, for Allah alone. Min ghaflati ila dhikri. So you'll go from heedlessness to remembrance of Allah.
ومن الرغبة في الدنيا إلى الرغبة في الآخرة.
من الرغبة في الدنيا
إلى الرغبة في الآخرة.
إلى الرغبة في الآخرة. So you'll go from desiring this world to desiring the next world. آخرة.
ومن الكبر إلى التواضع.
من الكبر, which is arrogance, from arrogance إلى التواضع.
ومن سوء الطويلة إلى النصيحة.
ومن سوء الطوية, so from a bad internal nature to a good one. من سوء الطوية إلى
ومن سوء الطوية إلى النصيحة.
إلى النصيحة. So from a bad character that has bad intentions to a character نصيحة. To an inner character that is sincere to people. It has good intentions for people.
كذلك قالوا لا تصحب من لا يذهب تحارب ولا يدلك على الله مقاله.
And also in the hikam of Ibn Ata'illah, he said, don't keep company of someone who does not elevate you, his state, his hal, his condition does not elevate you, raise you up. In other words, by seeing him, you get elevated, your himmah gets higher, you desire Allah, or whose speech does not direct you to Allah. Don't keep company with a person whose either his state is not elevating you or his speech isn't directing you to Allah. It's a bad company.
كل ما يصلح هذا كله هو ذكر الله تعالى. إن الله تعالى قال يا أيها الذين آمنوا اذكروا الله ذكرا كثيرا وسبحوه بكرة وأصيلا. الذكر هو دواء كل هذه الأمراض.
So really of all these diseases that we've looked at in the Mathara, the comprehensive cure for all of them is remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. More than anything else, that is the thing that will cure your heart.
الذكر تشمل الصلاة على رسول الله وسبحان الله والحمد لله لا إله إلا الله والله أكبر وتلاوة القرآن. هذه هي أنواع الذكر. واحدة من هذا
dhikr is recitation of Quran, prayer, of salah. That's a dhikr, prayer. Dhikr is saying subhanallah, all the types, subhanallah, bihamdihi, subhanallah al-azim, all those type things. Dhikr is saying la ilaha illallah. Dhikr is saying alhamdulillah, Allahu akbar, la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Those ad'iyah that the Prophet has given us, those are all dhikr of Allah. And then qira'at al-Quran, which is the highest and the best of them. The best dhikr is qira'at al-Quran. أفضل ذكر قراءة القرآن.
لأن قلب الذاكر دائما طاهر.
A person who is in a state of dhikr, his heart is going to be tahir. It'll be pure.